Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 3 of The Way of Kings from Stormlight Archive. We are doing chapters 8 of The Way of Kings through to Interlude number 3. So we did, I think, like 7 chapters this week. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Mythic.
Hi.
And Darkness.
Hi. Hi again.
Okay, you guys, everyone's gonna be confused.
Yep, totally. Nobody ever knows. It's like our voices are so the same that
They're so much the same.
No.
We're all from midnight, so
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, by the way, everybody on the podcast, say happy birthday,
No,
Midnight.
it's not my birthday.
happy birthday, midnight.
My birthday is not for like six plus months, 7 months.
Your birthday is every day if you believe.
Oh my gosh.
You'll be thousands of years old.
Oh my gosh. Alright, so we started with chapter 8 called Nearer the Flame. Our epigraph is Victory! We stand atop the mount. We scatter them before us. Their homes become our dens. Their lands are now our farms. And they shall burn, as we once did, in a place that is hollow and forlorn. Collected on Ishashin, 1172, 18 seconds pre-death. Subject was a light-eyed spinster of the 8th dawn. So did you guys have any thoughts about this epigraph?
Man, I'm gonna be like
Going to
straight
war.
up clear in this. None of the epigraphs
Matter.
I understood. None of them.
They do matter.
None of them matter. No, they're all just random people.
Whether they matter or not, I understood none of them.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm sure we'll eventually understand them, Darkness, because that's usually how these books work, where we somehow understand things in the end.
So we start with Shallan as she cringes at Yasna's annoyance with her being there. The servants had apparently told Yasna that Shallan was waiting for her. Shallan quickly apologizes and leaves on the verge of tears, feeling embarrassed. When she gets to the porter's shaft, she leans against a wall and wraps her arms around her legs. Angry people
Wrap
made
her
her
hands around the shaft.
Angry people make her think of her father's tirades, and she calls herself an idiot and foolish in her head as Painsbren wiggle around near her. So what do you think of Shallan's response to Yasna's annoyance?
Wait, repeat the question.
What did you think of
'Cause
Shallan's
I got the names
response?
mixed up.
Yes. What do you think of Shallan's response to like Yasna being like super annoyed and angry at her?
Low-key, I guess is normal considering that she's getting bugged.
Do you have any thoughts, Mythic, about Shallan's response?
I forget who's Shalong and who's
Shallan,
Yasna.
Shallan is the one who's trying to steal the Soulcaster.
I was trying to get the.
Okay, so she's the one. Okay,
She was
I
the
just
one that was
get
like
them
crying
mixed-
and ran away.
I get them mixed up very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. She's.
I mean, like, does she
seems
expect
like-
anything different?
Yeah, like she seems like that person who is headstrong for a minute and then things don't go their way, so they pout and cry about it instead of trying to
Midnight.
figure out how to do something else. Kind of like Midnight. Yeah,
Wow.
they don't go their way; they just pout.
No, but like I mean like her reaction in general is kind of like expected considering that her whole family's dependent on it.
Yeah, I mean, she also says like specifically like it's like people who are angry. Like I think she has like a bit of a trauma response because her dad was apparently quite an angry person, and so like she like gets freaked out and
Daddy
anxious
issues.
from angry people.
I said she has daddy issues.
She does. I mean, most people in these books do.
Right.
Who doesn't have daddy
You know-
issues in these books?
I wonder what they're trying to tell us here.
I'm glad you said in these books. 'Cause I was gonna say, damn, you have daddy issues too, Midnight?
No, I don't actually.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
actually
no,
pretty sure
no.
my dad was a pretty chill person.
Doesn't mean you didn't have issues. You don't have any daddy issues? Damn.
Must
Sorry,
be nice
I'm-
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm
right.
sorry.
God
To
damn.
have a bad.
I mean, I'll trade you. I'll give you mine.
No, I don't.
No,
I don't
thank
want
you.
any thanks.
No, I was talking to Darkness.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with that one.
So suddenly a young servant man comes over to tell her that Yasna would like to speak to her again, and Shallan wonders if Yasna is going to berate her further. Shallan gets up, forcing herself to stop shaking, and is glad that she didn't actually end up crying, and follows the servant. When she gets back to the alcove, she notices
But
that
not
Yasna...
gonna lie, when he came there, I was like, oh shit, she read the letter. And then they
Nope.
get there and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, what? Huh?
So yeah, she notices that Yasna is sitting down and also notices that the smoke stone in Yasna's soulcaster is cracked. Yasna apologizes to Shallan for taking her anger out on her, as she normally encourages persistence and is often stubborn herself. She states that she has been under a lot of stress and that she shouldn't be taking it out on Shallan. She also gestures for Shallan to take back her spheres that she had left in the bowl for lighting. Shallan takes back her spheres and mentions that Brother Cabsal has stopped by, which Yasna doesn't find surprising. Yeah, so are you surprised that Yasna called Shallan back just to like apologize to her? Like she was kind of
I just, like I said, I thought it was going to be like, oh, I read your note and I realized that the error of my ways. Also, this
Right.
photo that you drew is really good.
That's what I was thinking too.
Well, I think she took back her pictures. She didn't leave one there with the letter.
Is she? I thought
Yeah.
she just left them.
No, she
No,
mentions
she
that she
took 'em,
packed them
but-
up. She,
Yeah, she
Yasna
took
sees
them.
it later when she goes through her stuff, but
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah, she didn't leave the photo there. She just left the letter.
She definitely took that, but like I definitely was like thinking like it didn't explain that there was like one that fell out or something. You know, I was just like,
Mhm.
oh, she read the note and she saw that picture. She saw the picture and she was like,
and then she fell in love.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was
A lot
hoping
of
for.
people say that, like, apparently
Oh,
Brandon didn't
no.
write this way on purpose, but
Oh.
a lot of people say that Shalon has a lot of like kind of like romantic kind of feelings
They're
towards
shipping
Yasna
them.
based on the ways
They're
that she
shipping.
talks about her.
Yeah,
They're
they're
like-
shipping them for sure.
Yeah, they ship them a little bit because they're like, Shalon's constantly like, Jess is so beautiful and so poised and so elegant, and oh my gosh, she's so tall and perfect.
Oh wow.
And so everyone's like, Shalon really seems like she's got a crush here.
Yeah, and then she's just gonna steal everything from her anyways. So
Yeah, I don't know. I personally like felt it was like kind of like good on Yasna for like admitting like her mistakes and being like, no, I should apologize for acting out that way instead of just like letting her run off.
Seems out of character to me.
So Shalon then asks what Yasna had thought of her letter, but Yasna had not seen it yet as one of the parshmen had placed a stack of books on top of it. Yasna quickly reads it over and compliments Shalon for
It
being
was the one
self.
that she was talking to. I was like at first thinking like, oh, he strategically put the books on it so that nobody would be able to find the one dude that supposedly, wanted her attention or something.
Mhm.
And then she was like, I'll leave a message with you. Let her know I was here. And I'm like, he put the books there. He did it.
But yeah, so Yasna quickly reads it over and compliments Shalon for being self-taught and realizing that a letter would be the best way to get Yasna to reconsider. Shalon feels a surge of hope at this, and Yasna states that she will reconsider Shalon as her ward at a later date, once she has time to learn more about history and philosophy. What do you think about Yasna deciding that, like, reconsidering and saying that Shalon could come back another time?
Said it. My initial thing was, all right, so she's gonna just walk out of here, immediately go to a library, and be like, "I'm reading,"
Right.
I mean, she almost doesn't. She gets convinced, like, hey, you should really just... Why are you giving up?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. She literally just like, I'm gonna give up now. After it would take years. I can't wait years because of my family. I'm like, girl, you're self-taught. Literally, go to a library and self-teach yourself some
Yeah,
history.
you're fucking smart. Go
teach
do it.
Turn those years into a month. Granted,
So,
we find out later that she would have left. The other woman would have left already, but still, she was like, she might not be. She won't be here. She'll be blah 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 wherever the fuck they're going.
well, no, she said she was gonna keep. Like, we found out later. She said she's gonna like keep an eye on her because she like chooses a spot nearby. And she's like, I'll stay as long as Yasna stays, and when it seems like she's leaving, I'll then try again. Just take as much time as I can. But yeah, so Shalon thinks that Yasna, thanks Yasna and leaves, but thinks that she doesn't have enough time to study to Yasna's standards. If her house wasn't under such dire circumstances, it would be a great honor, but her house would likely fall before she has time to study enough. She makes her way out of the conclave and notes that it's already quite late in the day. She wanders down a path with ornamental shale bark which has some life spread flitting about the fronds. Shalon leans back against one of the stone-like plants and glances over Carbranth as she thinks about what she could do now. Shalon wonders if they can escape Yakoved, and if her father has any allies he hadn't alienated that they can go to for
Every
help.
time you say that, every time you say her name, all I can think of is Shlong.
She also thinks briefly about some strange maps she had found in her father's study after his death, but her father hadn't told his children much about his plans. Her eldest brother, Helleran, had known more than the others, but he had disappeared over a year ago. Shalon suddenly feels overwhelmed by her family's situation and the secret that is only 10 heartbeats away. What do you think about this second hint that Shalon might have a shard blade?
Kind of cool, honestly. We're gonna get 2 shard blades in the entire book. Ooh.
In the entire book.
Yeah, that's all we get. No more. No one's allowed to have a shard blade except them. Honestly,
Only
probably
S-named characters. Only S-named characters can have shard
Apparently.
blades.
Apparently, I mean, I don't know anything about S-named characters, but sure.
Well, Seth and
Oh,
Shalon.
yeah, but I hear the names. I don't. I thought it was Zeth. Z.
Oh, it's
a Z.
S-Z-E-Th. E-T-H, sorry.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Yalb calls out to her from where he is sitting with a group of men in guard uniforms. Shalon is shocked to see him still waiting for her. Yalb states that he's been playing cabbers with the guards as he felt they were unlikely to cheat against him, and he has won himself 80 chips. The
Yeah,
guards
it's totally a pirate.
The guards try to protest when Yalb suggests walking Shallan back to the ship, but he quiets them by asking if they want him to let Shallan walk on her own. As Yalb and Shallan walk off, Shallan tells Yalb that he shouldn't gamble or try to guess the future. However, Yalb replies that he wasn't guessing the future as he was cheating. Shallan scolds him again, but he replies that it was a challenge to trick the guards because they expected him to cheat and were watching for it. As they make their way through the city, Shallan
That's
notes...
way to cheat.
Yeah. So what do you think about Yalb waiting so long for Shallan?
I mean, that's some commitment, to be honest.
Well, first of all, he waited a very long time. Like,
He didn't win a bunch of money, though, while waiting.
Yeah, there could be no
I guess it was worth it, but like, you know,
Yalb's a good guy.
it was cool.
He
It was cool the way he
doesn't
did it,
have
though.
some feelings for this woman at all.
Did you say Darkness?
I'm curious how he cheated.
We don't really know much about what that game actually is, so we don't really know how he cheated because we don't understand the game.
I mean, you don't understand the game.
I mean, it doesn't tell you.
The game. He clearly explained that the game was him cheating.
Exactly, and that they should know because that's what they knew he would do so.
If you don't understand
all
it,
I
you're
know
not
is it's
much
a
of a
card
pirate,
game.
huh?
They mentioned that they're playing with cards.
So
He was
it's
probably like
poker.
counting cards, or
I
like
was
maybe the
gonna
cards
say-
were old, and they were like he could see what like the marks were on the cards or something. But yeah. So as they make their way through the city, Shallan notes that the streets are lit by oil lamps, but most people held spear-lit lamps in their hands. Shallan then tells Yalb that Yasna didn't accept her as her ward, which Yalb is shocked by as he calls Shallan perfect. Shallan thinks that the sailors
Once again, relationship.
Shallan thinks that the sailors have too high of an opinion of her. Yalb then asks if she is going to just give up.
I also agree.
But Shallan replies that she has tried twice already. Yalb replies that you always need to try 3 times, but she brings up statistics, and he says statistics don't matter, as the passions, which Shallan notes are a pagan superstition, will help when needed. Shallan thinks that trying a 3rd time would likely get the offer to come back later for wardship taken away, but Shallan likely won't have a chance to take up that offer either way, so she might as well try. Shallan then suddenly comes up with an idea and tells Yalb that she'll need a book merchant, and Yalb quickly runs off to go find one. A few minutes later, he returns, gesturing for Shallan to follow him to a nearby street. He notes that this street has 6 book merchants that are all next to each other, which he finds a bit strange. Shallan notes that they all have glyph pairs above them, noting them as bookstores, and that they kind of look like books, so that people who can't read glyphs will still know what they sell. Yalb then points out one of the shops and states that his contact said the owner was the best. Shallan goes into the store and Yalb waits outside. Shallan thinks that this is her first time going into a shop, as normally she would send servants out to get things for her, or merchants would come directly to her. Shallan notes that the store is very comfortable with armchairs and a warm fire. The floor is also seamless wood, meaning that it was likely soul cast from the stone below. So what do you think of this bookshop? They also mentioned that there's very few books actually like out in the main storefront. They're all like kind of in this back room. So it's more like a little cozy seating area than a store.
It's a book nook.
It is a book nook. Any thoughts about the store, Darkness?
It's not a library.
It's not a library.
Yeah, it's just a store.
You know, I think it's better to have like a small area like that than.
Just shelves of books.
Well, it's more like, so I've been to this store over here where there's books literally everywhere, like so much that like you can't see shelves, and the aisles are like for skinny people because that does not work out. I mean, at least they know what they're looking for, you know.
Yeah, I think it also seems like they potentially are like, they service like higher like more like noble type people, so it's like we bring you the books, you tell us what you want, and you sit here and look and like be by the warm fire and be comfortable.
The way he just looks to the like, who was it, the wife or whatever?
Oh my god, yeah. His slight sexist comments were so.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that.
I do like the ending of where like the wife is like, "You motherfucker!" With that,
she's so pissed. She's like, "You fucking insulted her? Excuse me?"
Yeah. I just, the way it all played out was hilarious.
Yeah,
but,
we're gonna get into
all I could think of when he does that though is like, aren't the women in this like story like so much more like well sophisticated than most of the men? How are you gonna say that?
Obviously, I think also he's probably partially due to her age is why he's like doing that. He's like, oh, it's just like this young 16-year-old girl. It's fucking wants like a romance novel. She's all pampered.
Was he? He's not a light eye, was he?
He's not he's not like from a Veden kingdom. He's Thalen, so they don't mention his eye color because they don't based on eye color They have like the long
Mm.
eyebrows and stuff. They do a completely different like noble situation because
Wait,
Shalon knows that,
eyebrows?
like, they have long eyebrows. Yeah, they mentioned that a few times. Do you want me to? Do you want a picture of Thalen?
No, I'm good. I don't want to see that dude.
I don't know. I'm just saying a Thalen in general. It doesn't have to be that guy.
Oh,
Just like how the eyebrows look.
I thought. Wait, it's not their eyebrows they base it off, right?
No, it's not the length. Shalon doesn't say how they determine who's noble.
I was about to say.
It is a characteristic feature of a Thalen is someone with very long eyebrows.
How do eyebrows grow that long?
It's a weird genetic quirk of them. They like tuck them. They either like tuck them behind
That's
their ears
kinda cool,
usually,
honestly.
or like blend them into their hair.
That's kind of cool.
Are these wait? Who is these two people?
I don't know. These are just random images I got off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Google
that is
images of Thalens. I just looked up Thalen and got pictures. So there's a dark-eyed woman standing behind the counter of the bookstore, and Shalon notes that she isn't completely pagan since she's wearing a glove on her safe hand. The woman tells Shalon to sit and rings a bell that causes a portly man to come into the room. The couple are both Thalen, and they have the
See
long
that?
eyebrows.
I've seen those videos.
Oh no.
He speaks in her native Vedan and has a slightly condescending tone. Shalon denies I fucking skipped a sentence there.
You got
Man quickly
this.
asks
I believe in you.
Shalon if she's looking for a novel or a book on the geography of exotic places. And yeah, so he speaks in Vedan and a slightly condescending tone. Shalon denies these offers and asks for books on history and philosophy and begins naming the authors she remembered Yasna mentioning. The man gestures for his wife to go into the back to get the books, and Shalon thinks that even if he knows how to read, he wouldn't want to offend his customers by doing so in front of them. However, handling money was considered a more masculine art, so he was allowed to do that. So what do you think, or actually we kind of went into a whole conversation, I'll just skip this question. We did a whole conversation about them a minute ago.
Sexist? Yeah. Uh-huh.
The man again
Okay,
mentions
sexist.
getting her a romance novel, and Shalon asks for a book called Near the Flame that is about a man slowly descending into madness after watching his children starve. The man seems thrown off by this, and Shalon begins playing with the man's words, making it seem like he's implying that she eats books. She continues on comparing food and books and implies that reading only novels wouldn't be good for her mind, just like eating sweets isn't good for her stomach. The man eventually goes to help his wife in the back. So what do you think about Shalon's kind of... She calls it an outburst against the merchant. She's like, oh, this was not polite of me to do.
I mean, it's the same
that
as
point-
she did to the pirates, so...
This guy definitely deserved it, though.
Witty banter. I mean, they deserve it too, but witty banter.
Yeah, at that point he was kind of just looking for it himself. So
He's like, don't you want a romance novel? She's like, I want a novel about a man going mad after his children starve. Fuck you.
I mean, just the fact that she named a book like that, in general, was crazy.
I'm
Like-
assuming he must have been one of the 80-something books that her dad owned.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, like, the guy obviously was trying to, like,
Yeah.
condescend her, and she's just like, no, I want this specific book by title. Like, I mean, like, you're showing your knowledge there, girl.
Yeah, she's like, don't underestimate me. I know what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So
that's a
eventually,
bit of a heavy read for you, isn't it? Like, shut the fuck up.
eventually the man comes back with some book recommendations. One being a book his wife insisted on, but he thinks won't go into enough detail for Shalon, which she agrees with. He also has a bunch of books for history. There's like a series of these books, and also several books of the philosophers that she had mentioned. The history books specifically are regarding the 5 Vorin kingdoms, although Shalon thinks she had thought there were only 4, Yakovev, Alethkar, Karbranth, and Atanatan, so she's not sure which the 5th Vorin kingdom would be. Shalon chooses the history books and 2 of the philosophy books, and the man asks for 10 emerald bromes, which is expensive. So suddenly Yal bursts into the room, looking worried, and kneels down near Shalon. He states that his master is willing to take Shalon's offer. Shalon is stunned, but Yalb keeps speaking, telling her to not buy from this bookseller, but from his own master, whom he claims is Barmist. The bookseller seems angry at Yalb, and he says that 10 bromes was just a starting price. Yalb states that he'll sell Shalon the same books for 2 emerald bromes, and the bookseller asks if Shalon will really buy from someone willing to send their servant into his shop. Shalon, however, says that at least the other man didn't insult her intelligence, causing the wife to glare at her husband. The man eventually goes down to 2 bromes and 3 sapphire bromes, and Shalon accepts. So what did you think of Yalb's plan to get Shalon a better price on her books?
Much like his cheating, it worked out real well.
How old is he?
Yalb? Do we get an age for Yalb?
Because for some reason I thought he was like young adult age.
I don't think we get an age. I'm assuming he's not like elderly or anything, considering he's like considered like he's calling himself a servant or an apprentice to a bookseller as his like cover there.
Yeah, I don't think he's like.
I'm assuming he's somewhere from teens to early 30s, but I don't think we get an actual age for him yet.
I don't think he's like late 20s because I there was a mention of how old he like he appears or something. Not like a number, but like the way they address him.
It says specifically Yelb is a young sailor who has a lazy contentedness and a smirk. He's also Thalen. So he's considered young, so I'm assuming he's probably like between mid-teens to mid-20s, somewhere in there.
I can see why people would like ship that dude and like her. Considering how much
they have
that.
chemistry.
Well, he's helping her like so much.
I kind of want to know what that dude looks like too now. I wonder if he's cute.
Oh my.
Image of...
We already got a picture
Men
of her,
are
right?
disgusting.
Yeah.
where's
We already got a picture of her, right?
Yeah, we
have.
Shalon.
Yeah.
Mythic.
Hey, yeah, I found it. Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't gone up here and scrolled up in a while, right?
I feel like this person's drawn him way too old looking.
There's 3 pictures of each one of the characters.
Yeah, I didn't scroll up high enough to find Seth. I scrolled up and saw Kaladin and was like, that's not who we're looking for.
The only picture I can find of this, it's not the most masterful artwork, but this is one I could find.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah, definitely looks like a person who could swindle me out of something.
Here's a bunch of characters just from like this Shalon section of the book in general that someone drew. It's like headshots.
Why do I keep hearing Schlong?
It's Shalon!
I told you. Every time she says it, I hear Shlong.
These are Avatar characters.
They definitely do look like Avatar characters. I like Yalb in this one. On the second one you put. I mean, he looks a little older, but I like him better on that one. Jasna looks fucking awesome.
You want a proper picture of Yasna? I think Yasna looks.
Sure.
Yasna.
Jasmine.
Who's the guy that was in the room with Shalong?
Capsule. He's in that image.
I see.
Capsule.
The Ardent brother Capsule.
Yeah, sure.
Like a Pokeball. Capsule.
Capsule Corp. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, she's pretty.
She's gorgeous. Why is it so tiny?
Oh,
Is it-
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's so small.
Yeah, I can expect her from like 3,000 miles away.
They're so tiny. All these.
Are they all
pictures are
tiny? I don't know why they're all tiny. I'm sorry. I'm just getting what images
like-
I can get.
They're like mobile, like.
mobile pictures. Oh man, I kind of want to put that one as my background. The last one.
This is her getting rid of the stone and turning it to smoke.
Recreates her as like an RP character.
Now that's cool as shit.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, why does she look so like? What's the word that I'm looking for? Chinese.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like she looks like traditional Chinese.
Yeah, they gave her a very like Chinese style kind of like hairdo there.
Really cool though.
Nah, bruh, she's like Fire Nation.
I mean, in that one picture for sure,
Mm-hmm.
where she's turning stone to smoke, really looks Fire Nation. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, she reminds me in that one picture. She reminds me of Esda from Kame ga Kill. I don't know. Nobody here has probably ever seen that, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's Yasna.
I refuse to watch
extremely
it.
pretty.
Really, you don't like?
No, it's not that I don't like it. I just don't want to watch it yet.
Was there a reasoning?
Because if it's good, then I'll be disappointed if it ends.
I mean, it ends in I think it's like 12 to 16 episodes.
Yeah, I gotta watch stuff that I think is gonna be good at a good moment in life, so it gets better.
Okay.
But anyway, as
Anyways.
I was gonna say, which
go
I
on.
completely forgot what I was gonna say.
24
So,
episodes,
which is,
sorry.
Okay. So Shalon then leaves with her books and meets up with Yob a little down the street. He tells her he expected the guy to try to overcharge her and had gone around asking for the guy's biggest rival. Shalon thanks him and gives him a picture she had drawn of him earlier, as well as she blinks to take another memory of him to draw later. Yelp thanks her and tucks the picture away as they keep moving. Shalon notes that Nomen, the middle moon, had begun to rise already. Shalon has Yelp take her back to the conclave, and once inside she asks for a balcony alcove near Yasna's. The porter states that if she wishes to use the alcove regularly, she needs to pay 2 sky marks. She pays and goes up to the alcove. She has to use all of her spheres to light the room, causing the lighting to be patchy with different colors. However, she can see Yasna still studying and sits in a spot in her alcove where Yasna can't see her. She hopes that Yasna will be here for a few weeks so that she can do some cramming, as her tutors had always said that she could learn lists and facts at an impressive rate. She planned to fill in the gaps of her knowledge before Yasna left Kharbranth to petition again before she leaves. So did you think Shallan would be able to read and hide from Yasna, or were you expecting that she'd be caught quickly?
No, there's no way that she would have been able to, because, like, she's useless.
Yeah, not wrong. But
I'm gonna sound, like, rude as fuck to her character, but I've been doing it anyway.
Okay.
I feel like she's overplayed her intellect.
oh, I get what you're saying, because she's already tried twice, and now you're brazenly trying again.
Yeah,
But
like, I mean, I guess.
and you can only write a good letter, a handful of times before it kind of becomes monotonous.
I feel like it would have been played. It would have been played. It would have been better if, like, she, like, chose a different way to prove herself. But I guess it worked out.
Well, I mean, Yasna basically said, like, fill in the gaps of your knowledge, and then I'll consider you again. So she's like, okay, but she didn't give me a time frame, so I'm gonna do this as quickly as possible to fill in as much as I can.
Yeah, and then even when she sees her again, she's like, I should have given you a time frame.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, that was my mistake. Should have said you had to wait at least like a year or something. But yeah, so just as Shallan opens up the first history book...
Not that she would have listened to that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she has no time to. She kind of has to be ballsy about it. Otherwise, she's just
she wouldn't have listened to her anyways, but...
I'm telling you, the problems would have been solved if she just, like, slaughtered her, but... And then she could cry all about it as soon as she has the fucking soul casting or whatever.
So just as Shallan opens up the first history book, a feminine voice asks if she'll ever be rid of Shallan. Shallan jumps and apologizes, saying she didn't mean to disturb Yasna. However, Yasna mentions that she had asked to be told if Shallan returned. Yasna then comments on the book Shallan picked out and correctly guesses Shallan's plan to petition her again before she leaves Kharbranth. However, she incorrectly guesses why Shallan is so determined to be her ward, thinking it was more about how many enemies Shallan's father has and that she wants an ally so she can marry well. So what do you think about Yasna's assumptions for why Shallan was here?
If she knew she was here, knew the reason she was here, she wouldn't even be facilitating this.
Yeah.
She's dead by now. So.
Didn't she, like, confidently say it too? Like, she's like, I know why you're here.
Yeah, Shallan freaked out for a moment. She's like, oh no. But yeah.
Oh, no.
She obviously doesn't think Shallan's actually here because she wants to be her ward. She's like, oh, you think I'll be a good ally and that you can marry well. My
instant thought was, like, kill her, but, Why do I want her dead so bad?
I don't know.
Because that's who you are, Darkness.
But, like, it's just her.
No, it's been multiple characters in multiple books.
I think it's because she's successful. That's what it is.
You're jealous of her success.
She's too high almighty feeling.
So Yasna then goes through Shallan's things, noting her art supplies and the different pictures of people and plants. She also notes how low Shallan is getting on money, and Yasna asks why Shallan drew the pictures of plants. And Shallan says she just did it for fun, although she cringes at her answer. However, it does please Yasna that Shallan devotes herself to scholarly work in her free time. She mentions that she thought Shallan was just a rural opportunist, but even if she believes there is a bit of that in Shallan, it isn't all she is. She mentions that she has rooms that Shallan can use and stay in, and that she might as well make use of Shallan if she's going to be here. Yasna then leaves, and Shallan quickly writes a prayer of thanks that she'll burn later, before going off to look for a servant to get her things from their wind's pleasure. She's completed her first task, but now the real task begins. What do you think of Yasna's change of heart regarding Shallan being her ward?
She really hasn't changed her mind yet, so...
If she needs a servant, she needs a servant,
And then we move on to Chapter 9, which is called Damnation. But first of all, Mythic, we get a little picture of chulls with some descriptions of the different chulls. So this is the big ones that you can ride and that pull the carts and stuff.
That is not what I pictured, but that is still really cool.
Pokemon.
Big crabs.
Yeah, Pokemon. No, it's a POW, actually.
Those are some of Shallan's drawings.
Oh my god.
Of chulls. And then we get the epigraph, which is 10 people with shard blades alight, standing before a wall of black and white and red. Collected Jezachev 1173, 12 seconds pre-death. Subject, one of our own Ardents, overheard during his last moments. So, do you think this is a reference to the Prelude, or do you think this is going to be some sort of foreshadowing in the future?
Repeat it? The thing?
The epigraph?
Yeah.
10 people with shard blades alight, standing before a wall of black and white and red.
I was like, whatever it was we read in the beginning.
You think it's about the Prelude? Mythic, do you think it's about the Prelude, or do you think it's foreshadowing for something in the future?
That's Mythic. It's something in the future. No,
did you say as Mythic?
He was pretending to be you.
I'm trying to imagine what it Said 10 blades
10
shining
people
light.
with shard blades.
Uh-huh.
So we know that
Oh,
there's
yeah.
10 heralds, although technically in the prelude, one of them was dead, so it was just 9 of them with their blades.
Oh, that's the future, yeah.
Also, it mentions that the subject was, they say, one of our own Ardents. So does that give you any hints as to who you think might be recording all of these? Because apparently...
One dude that met Schlong in the
It's because
coffee
it's an
station.
Arden, isn't
You
it?
think it's Brother Capsule?
That's what you're asking.
Well, I'm asking, do you think it's like Ardents or like someone who keeps... Because Ardents apparently are kind of like... They're like kind of slaves, but not slaves. Because they're not allowed to keep possessions.
Everyone's a slave in this.
I think they're similar to like the like how in Warbreaker, how that the one sister was like a priest or something, and she was kind of like she worked for people, but didn't really have like her own stuff. The Ardents are kind of similar to that.
I completely forgot who you were talking about until I just had like an explosion of memory.
The Venna and Ciri's sister that I forget the name of, because she's like briefly mentioned in the book.
Oh, the one. Yeah.
I'm gonna name her Fen.
Okay. Which that's really funny because I'm pretty sure there's someone named Fen in the Stormlight Archive.
I don't know where I got it from, but like, you know.
Yeah, so this is obviously, considering this as one of our Ardents, it's potentially like maybe Ardents talking about this, or like someone who's like close to a bunch of Ardents, like working with some Ardents that is recording these.
I don't know who Fen is now.
So we switch to Kaladin's point of view, as he thinks that he was specifically assigned to Bridge 4 as it had the highest casualty rate of all the bridge crews. Which is a lot considering most bridge crews is at least a third of their men each run. He was sitting outside the barracks in the rain and thinking about how of the 25 men who had survived the first bridge run with him, 23 of them were already dead. It had been about 2 or 3 weeks since then. Only Kaladin and one other man still lived. They had already gone through replacements of these men. Kaladin didn't bother to learn the names of the others as they'd likely be dead the same week he met them. So what do you think about how quickly men are dying in these bridge crews?
I mean, it makes sense considering the first time we saw how the bridge crews worked.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Mm-hmm. Kaladin thinks that Gaz will come by to give them some work to keep them busy, such as scrubbing latrines or gathering rocks. He also thinks about wonders about what game the High Princes are playing here, as they seem to be hunting large chrysalises, although he doesn't know what that has to do with the Vengeance Pact. He thinks that the High Princes treat this as some sort of game, but won't take Kaladin's suggestions of having bridgemen run out with shields to protect them from arrows. So what do you think about what Kaladin has noticed about this war here? Like, what do you think is going on with this?
It's just
war?
Like, it's just them having fun. Like, oh, it's only slaves getting killed, so what do we care?
Do you think they're just like not taking this war seriously? Because this war is supposed to be to like avenge their dead king, and they're kind of like, Kaladin doesn't seem to think that they're taking it very seriously or like really trying to win.
Why would they take it seriously?
That war's been delayed for how long?
It's been 5 years.
And it's like, on their side, it's just like a push and retreat every time, right?
It sounds like they're hunting chrysalis, as it says, which they don't really give much more detail on at the moment. But it sounds like they're like hunting something, so it sounds like they like push in, potentially get it, or the Pashendi get it, and then they retreat.
What if it's not about delaying or like not taking it seriously and stuff? What if it's more like there's something they need to do beforehand and it's taking a really long time to do it?
Do you think there's something they need to try and complete in order to?
Yeah, kind of how like in Mistborn they had to get the what's it called? The medal, the fucking future seeing medal. What's it called? Oh my god, I'm going crazy. What's it called? ATM. They had to struggle throughout that whole fucking book looking for ATM, and that's why they couldn't like, really work it out. But
yeah, it's very possible. So Sildon says that Kaladin hasn't spoken in days. He thinks about the chasm where bridgemen are technically not allowed to go, but the guards allow them because it's a place where bridgemen don't come back, and guards consider the one mercy bridgemen are allowed. Kaladin then speaks, telling Syl that his father had said there were 2 types of men who saved and men who killed. Kaladin had always thought there was a third type, men who kill to save. But he was wrong. The third type was men who needed to be saved or killed, the victims. Kaladin says that they exist to be killed. We then skip ahead to Bridge 4, hauling lumber to the lumberyard. Apparently fires were sometimes set to the bridges, so the carpenters were always busy. A voice deep inside of Kaladin thinks that something is wrong here, that the Light Eyes don't seem to care about resources or the lives of people. However, Kaladin ignores it and also ignores Syl, as she says that he used to be vibrant and looked up to by others. Although something she does say makes him pause as she mentions him fighting, and he thinks that she hadn't shown up until after his fall from the army. So what do you think about the fact that Syl seems to have been around Kaladin for much longer than he seems to think she had been?
Well, I was thinking about it, and I think that Mythic's theory for like how they're connected is not that far off. Also, this is like the same king. Well, not king, but like I guess it's the king's brother or whatever. They alerted, right, or whatever in the first.
The
What is
king's
this, last
brother was
episode?
the one who was drunk at a table.
Yeah, and that's the one who's trying to avenge, right?
I mean, it's kind of the whole kingdom is here trying to avenge.
Yes, but I'm saying like he's the one that
he's here, and the slaves had mentioned him being like a really honorable person, someone you'd want to be a slave for, compared to like the other people here. So he's definitely, we know he's here, and it sounds like there's like some other like important nobles and stuff here.
Okay, but like, why all of a sudden he's not seen as like? Because it started off depicting him as like someone.
Yeah,
who was not
it sounds like
seriously.
Yeah. So we don't know if like he's actually changed. Like maybe like his brother's death in like the 5 years, like he's changed, or maybe just he doesn't let people outside of the nobility see him that way. So maybe just like dark-eyed people and slaves have a very different opinion of him because he's like a high up noble. Like we don't know much. He could
still be like a closet drunkard.
Yeah, he could seem like maybe he runs his camp well, but he's also like just a complete drunk, like useless person. Like maybe he just has like good people that help him be in charge. We don't know because Kaladin's in a completely different war camp because the brother has his own war camp because there's like 10 war camps, they said. So his brother has one of them, and then he's in a different one for a different noble. Anyways, Mythic, you didn't speak up. Did you have any thoughts about Syl being around for longer than Kaladin thought?
She's a wind spirit. Of course, she's on the wind.
Yeah, so she's apparently been around for quite a while watching him.
Mm-hmm.
So Gazlan gets called out to by a man named Laresh, who brought new bridgemen to replace the ones who die. Gaz calls the group a sorry lot, and Laresh mentions that the 10 of them here were caught smuggling. There were always enough slaves and criminals to make into bridgemen. However, Parshmen were never made into bridgemen, as they were too valuable, and they also weren't sure how they would act upon seeing the Parshendi fighting up close. So do you think the Parshmen would like react in any way if they saw the Alethi killing the Parshendi, or considering like what we know of them, do you think they'd just like not care?
Wouldn't care, to be honest.
Repeat the question.
Do you think the Parshmen?
I keep getting the groups like the names messed up.
So the Parshmen are like the slave people, and the Parshendi are the ones that they're fighting, the ones that killed the king. So they say that they don't make the Parshmen the slave people who are related to the Parshendi bridgemen because they don't want them like seeing the fighting up close because they're not really sure if the Parshmen would like react in some way. So I was just asking, like, do you think they would react in some way, or do you think they would like just not care?
Definitely think they'd react in a certain way, for sure.
I mean, it is war, right?
So Gaz mentions that Bridge 4 needs some more men, but Laresh says he has a special group for Bridge 4. Kaladin sees a young boy of about 14 or 15 and thinks for a moment that the boy is Tien, before shaking his head and remembering that Tien is dead. He wanted to protect the boy, but also knew that everyone he tried to protect died. Suddenly Syl comes over and says she is going to leave, but will try to come back. Kaladin doesn't want her to leave, but she says she can't see him like this and is scared she might forget things if she leaves Kaladin. So when you were first reading this chapter, what did you think was the reason for Syl leaving? Like, what did you think she was going to go do?
I just thought she was leaving.
You thought she was like, I just need to go.
Bye. Peace. Goodbye.
What about you, Darkness?
Who was leaving?
Syl said she was going to go away for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I was scared she was not going to return.
Yep. Your favorite character, right?
Not really. She seems annoying, low-key, but...
So we skip ahead then to learn that the young boy died in the next bridge run, along with the one man that has survived the last few weeks with Kaladin. That night, as the high storm rages, Kaladin thinks that he can't keep going like this, and Kaladin cries for the first time in over 8 months. And then we get Chapter 10, Stories of Surgeons, which is a 9 years ago flashback to Kaladin's past as a 10-year-old boy. So yeah, we start with 10-year-old Kaladin as he stumbles into the surgery room, thinking that he prefers the name Cal to Kaladin, since Kaladin sounds like a Light Eyes name. Cal apologizes to his father, Liron, for being late, as he notes that the woman who is strapped to the table is already unconscious from the drug his father had given her. The room was lit by stormlight spheres that were borrowed from Hearthstone's landlord. Kaladin notes that the girl, Sani, a 15-year-old, had a hastily wrapped bloody free hand, and her safe hand was uncovered. He didn't understand why the other boys talked about seeing a girl in their shift, although he was very worried about Sani and didn't really care about seeing her like that. So were you expecting to get a random flashback of Kaladin's life growing up?
Nope. I figured they would like hold that hostage for a while.
Were you surprised, Mythic, to get us in flashback? We don't really get flashbacks usually in Brandon Sanderson books, besides like little bits of memories.
Was I surprised? No, not really. But didn't see it coming, I guess. But I just wasn't surprised. Flashbacks are often used pretty well in books, so, and in just stories in general.
Also, what do you think about the fact that Kaladin's dad is a surgeon, that he kind of like grew up being like his dad's assistant?
Would explain a lot of things that he. I mean, he already kind of made a reference to the fact that he knew medical knowledge.
Yeah, he does a lot
that's
of
what I was
little
thinking.
medical stuff. So yeah, we know where that comes from now. So apparently he grew up helping his dad, who's a surgeon.
I just assumed he was like some kind of a doctor. So
Doctor.
the doctor, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the wound wasn't too bad though, considering Liren had waited for Kaladin instead of using Kaladin's mother Hesina as his assistant. He notes that his father is wearing his spectacles that he only wears for work, since they're too precious to be worn about, and considering how remote they are, it would be difficult to replace them. In the surgery room, they also had the only fabrial clock in town, which used an infused smoke stone to help tell the time. As Cal brings a stool over near Sani, Liren reminds Cal to wash his hands. Cal doesn't understand why they have to do that, but Liren says it's the wisdom of the heralds that says that Deathspren and Rotspren hate water. Kaladin replies that an Arden who came by last spring said the heralds were demons, but Liren corrects him that it's the Radiants that are bad, not the heralds. Liren goes on to explain that the heralds come to lead them against the Voidbringers after people were cast out from heaven. The Radiants were the order of knights that the heralds founded, that then betrayed them once the heralds had left. He then insists again that Kaladin should wash his hands, as it can be seen firsthand the effect it has on Rotspren, even if they can't see if it does anything to Deathspren. Kaladin thinks it's odd that his father talks of the heralds when he has said before that he doesn't believe that Voidbringers are real. So what do you think about this little lore about the heralds and the Radiants?
Sounds like a lot of propaganda to me.
It sounds a bit like, it sounds like a situation we read about, and I can't remember which one it is. Oh, right. It sounds kind of like, you know how there was legends of like the, what's it called, from Mistborn, the fucking formless.
Oh, about the why am I now blanking?
The see?
The Kandra?
No.
Or are you talking about the deepness?
The deepness and
okay.
like all the like interpretation of the prophecies and all this stuff. So I feel like Mythic is not that far off, actually, because we don't really get an exact like idea of what's actually happening. So
we do also have that little look into the past with the heralds, because they're like, oh yeah, the heralds were all great, and then they had to leave, but it's like we know that the heralds like basically abandoned this oath pact, which we don't really know too much about, but they abandoned something. They abandoned that one guy, and like we don't really know what happened to them past that, but it doesn't like they were like purely like amazing people. So you guys don't really believe that maybe the Radiants didn't betray them or something?
Something. I mean, I feel like it's propaganda.
So Cal watches as Liren removes the bandages from Sani's hand, and Cal thinks that the hand is badly mangled, but that torn skin no longer bothers him like it did 2 years ago. Kaladin notes that 3 fingers are damaged, with the third finger being the most broken. He says out loud that the third finger will have to go, and Liren smiles and nods in response, seeming to be glad that Kaladin had noticed that. Liren does the actual amputation, and Kaladin thinks it'll be years before his father lets him hold a knife. Instead, he just hands knives to his father and wipes away blood. Liren is happy to have saved 4 of the 5 fingers, but Kaladin thinks that Sani's parents won't feel the same way. However, he thinks that they'll still make a donation to Liren, which will help feed his parents, him, and his younger brother Tien. He wonders if the fact that they profit off of others' misfortune is why some of the townspeople seem to not like them. Liren then cauterizes the wound and disposes of the amputated finger. Kaladin relaxes, knowing that Sani will be okay, but Liren tells Kaladin that he needs to learn that caring can be an issue if it interferes with his ability to perform surgery. However, Kaladin thinks that Liren not charging for his work is caring too much, although he doesn't speak this out loud. So first of all, what do you think about the fact that we've got confirmation now that Tien was Kaladin's brother? Because I think Darkness, for some reason, like, said this earlier. He's like, oh yeah, Tien's his brother, but I don't think we actually got confirmation until this chapter. I couldn't find anything besides him just mentioning the name Tien.
Which is crazy, because
he said he had it in a dream, remember?
I think I actually did dream it, and I'm not like.
He listened to
I'm
the book.
so confused.
He listened to the book in his dream, and he learned it by osmosis, a lot like I did the other time, at one time. You know?
I don't understand how I knew that.
Yeah, I don't either. When you first said that, I was like, they don't say it this. I was like going crazy in my head, being like, I didn't miss that. They definitely don't say it that early, right? I was so confused
It
when you brought
wasn't.
that up randomly.
It wasn't a
Yeah,
little brother though, right?
We've done that.
It is his
We've done
younger
that
brother,
to you
yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Oh my god!
We've
I
done that to
literally
you a
said
lot.
little brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a couple years younger than Kaladin.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so apparently Tien is dead. We've learned that from Kaladin's previous thoughts.
hmm
So rip the little brother. Which, yeah, that seems like that's his kind of reasoning behind always wanting to protect younger kids. Because he thinks of Tien when he sees them, his little brother. Also, what did you think about Liren's little thing to Kaladin about saying you need to learn not to care so much? Because it'll interfere with your work.
I was like looking out for him, to be honest. Stop caring, man.
To be fair, Calvin has that streak of, trying
Definitely struggles with that.
Yeah. Which pisses me off because I know how characters who do that shit always get the, short end,
So as they begin to clean up the room while Sani continues to sleep, Liren asks where Cal had been. Cal replies that he and Tien had met up with Jam, who'd been trained to use a quarterstaff. He also mentions that Jam's father was in Bright Lord Amran's army, which Kaladin thought was a noble Light Eyes. Liren replies that being a soldier caused Jam's father to have a lame leg that Liren had operated on multiple times. Cal insists that they need soldiers so their borders aren't invaded by the Thalans, but Liren replies the Thalans are on an island nation and mostly are merchants. Cal thinks that he often forgets that his father had traveled to Kharbranth in his youth, and he is the only second non-family in the town. So what do you think about kind of Kaladin's kind of reverence for being a soldier?
It's crazy how he seems to have a fascination with fighting from straight up as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's that
He just wants to jam his fists into people's faces.
It's crazy because I feel like it's mostly that feeling of I don't know if it's for everyone, but you don't want to be the same thing your parents want you to be. Situation.
You think it's more of a rebellion thing?
Rebellious. Gotcha.
I feel like he just wants different.
Yeah, because his dad seems very anti-soldier. He's no fighting, that's no killing. It's the worst thing you can do, and so Cal's really intrigued by it.
Kill, more killing. I'm a doctor, but you know what? You can become a soldier. I patch him up. You hurt him.
God,
awesome.
Keeps him in business.
Yeah, that's good for business actually.
But yeah, so Liren tells Kaladin that they need surgeons more than they need soldiers, and when Cal asks who tells the stories of surgeons, Liren replies that the families of the people they help tell stories of surgeons, which kind of shuts Cal up a bit. Liren also says that there are two people, those who take lives and those who save lives. Cal replies that there's also the people who save people by killing, but Liren replies that you can't save people by killing. Liren then begins testing Kaladin on plants and diseases, and praises Kaladin for remembering so much, and states that he wants to send Kaladin to Kharbranth when he's 16 to train with surgeons.
That's why he became a fucking slave, that's for sure.
Cal feels excited at the thought of traveling to another kingdom, and Liren states that their ancestors worked hard to get them to the second non so that they could be full citizens and have the right of travel, and to not waste that on killing people. Cal hesitates, then nods. So, I have a couple questions here. Do you agree with Liren that Kaladin's wrong, that you can't save people by killing?
No. What?
Wait, what? No, what? Huh?
I said, do you agree with Liren that
you can't save people
by killing?
Oh no, I don't agree with Liren at all.
Right.
I mean, you know how many times in all these books that people have killed somebody to save somebody else's life? Is it a good idea?
And also,
no,
if you kill a specific person, it would have stopped this whole fucking thing from happening.
Exactly.
Just slaughter somebody to take their little wristband that they have,
Also, they do mention here, they've been mentioning for a while, these non and dawn things, which are the ranks within society. And they mention here that apparently as a higher ranked Dark Eyes, they're able to be full citizens and have the right to travel, which implies that lower classed Dark Eyes than them are not considered full citizens and do not have the right to travel around by themselves. So what do you think about that?
Makes sense. Bunch of racists, I guess I don't know what the prejudice is for eyes, but
It annoys the fuck out of me because that leaves essentially almost no room for improving your status.
Yeah, so Kaladin's family is basically pretty much as high. Well, so I think they kind of say that you can. So because Liren mentions that they worked their family up to second non. So there's a certain place that you can't get to past being a Dark Eyes, but there are ranks that you can work your way up in. And so like Kaladin's family is like pretty much like almost the best you can be, because they're second, not first non. So they're like almost the best you can be as a dark-eyed family. Like that's how well off they are compared to
Weird
like.
how he turned into a killer.
Weird how he turned into a slave.
Yeah, he went from being like almost the best you could be as a dark eye to be like the lowest of the low.
Yeah, he went from top to bottom real quick.
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay, it's
Anyway.
okay, Cal. You can be my bottom anytime.
Oh god.
Oh wow.
What were you gonna say to Darkness before Mythic cut in?
I was gonna do the same joke.
Oh, okay.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, but except you know.
A little more with a little more class, I'm sure.
So we go on to chapter 11, Droplets, and we get an epigraph that says, 3 of 16 ruled, but now the broken one reigns. Collected Chachanon 1173, 84 seconds pre-death. Subject, a cut purse with the wasting sickness of partial Iriali descent. So what do you think they mean regarding 3 of 16 ruled?
Yeah, 16's coming up again.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. It's almost like, it's an important number for some reason.
Yeah, 3
Why
of
would
16.
be an important number. 16 is just a number. It's nothing more.
So you don't think 3 of 16? Anything important?
Gods of 16 guns.
They also say, but now the broken one reigns. So what do you think they mean by the broken one? So broken one is capitalized. Just so you
Like a
know.
broken shard, to be honest.
Do you think maybe like there's a shard here that's like been splintered, kind of like on Sal there was?
Yep.
And that's kind of like the main shard, maybe this area.
You said it.
I'm just going
It's
with what you're
Midnight
saying.
making the theories now.
I'm just going with what Mythic's saying.
Mythic said, this whole time.
Yep. You said it.
He said broken shard.
No, I just said broken god.
I heard broken shard.
Broken god. Definitely a god that's been broken, mentally, physically, emotionally.
Spiritually.
Economically, financially.
Once the high storm had subsided, Kaladin slips on his sandals and leaves the barracks. He notes
They're
that
not the same thing.
He notes the bridgemen aren't given beds, only a single blanket to use either as a blanket or a pillow, although some completely wrap their heads in the blanket as if to block out all sounds and sights. As he goes outside, he notes that it's still raining heavily, but the winds have died down enough for it to be safe to walk around. Gaz suddenly calls out to him, and Kaladin notices that he had put his spears out to be infused in the high storm and had gone out early to get them before the rain had subsided more. Gaz tells Kaladin not to try stealing any spheres, and Kaladin just replies that he's heading to the honor chasm, causing Gaz to shut up. So what do you think about Gaz like being so worried about people stealing his money that he's like going out like kind of before people would normally go out?
I'm more worried about him going to the chasm.
Chasm?
You said
Honor
chasm.
Did I say it again? The honor chasm.
Oh man, it's more fun messing with you about it.
Darkness, did you have any thoughts about Gaz being worried about people stealing his money, being kind of paranoid about it?
Like, I feel like it's better safe than sorry, to be honest.
I guess, but like they're gonna die if they do shit like that, and they know it, so I doubt it.
Are they though?
They're gonna die anyway.
Okay.
As Kaladin continues walking away, Gaz calls out to leave, calling him Lordling, and tells him to leave his vest and sandals behind. Kaladin removes them and leaves them in a puddle. He thinks that many bridgemen get battle shock and that he feels the effect of it on himself as well, but the memory of the bleeding boy had caused him to get up and head out. He continues to the honor chasm, which gained that name and it was the only honorable choice that bridgemen had left: death. As he looks out at the chasm, he thinks that the rest of them aren't natural. The land was broken, and it breaks the men that come here. Kaladin sits on the edge of the chasm and notices Kremlings coming out to eat the plants that had come out to drink the storm water. He notes that his father once told him that storm water was higher in nutrients than rivers or lake water. Although he thinks farmers already knew this for generations, so he doesn't know why it was so exciting for scientists to learn. Kaladin watches the rain drip down into the chasm and says that his father was right, that you can't help people by killing. So what do you think about Kaladin coming to the honor chasm with the intent to die?
He wasn't gonna. We know that.
Oh, right. We all know he's not gonna die. He's too lucky. Luck is on his side. He won't ever
He's a
die.
storm blessed. Is this storm
I mean,
blessed?
Yeah, he went by Stormlust in the army. Kaladin thinks that his life had been simpler before he lost Tien, and before he was betrayed in Amran's army. Kaladin then climbs to his feet on the edge of the chasm, and he suddenly hears Syl's voice call out to him. Kaladin steps back from the ledge and holds out his hand as he sees Syl carrying something. Syl had brought him a blackbane leaf, saying that he'd been so careful with the ones he had before, but he had lost them back in the slave wagons. Kaladin
That
almost
was so cute.
Kaladin almost laughed at how Syl had unknowingly brought him one of the deadliest plants on Roshar. Syl seems disappointed that Kaladin isn't happy, and said that she flew really far to get it, but was able to come back after nearly losing herself. So yeah, what do you think about Syl going out to get Kaladin a blackbane leaf?
Cute. So fucking cute. I'm like, bro. We all know he's gonna use
It's
it to
clearly
poison
not
somebody.
smart.
Still? Fuck. So
She's
smart.
doing her best. She's like, this made you happy before. I want you to be happy again.
Yeah, oh my god. So adorable.
You wasted time for that.
I mean, what else is she gonna do? Float around while he's being fucking enslaved?
She's doing her best. She's trying to find something that'll cheer him up.
Yeah, in his time of need, you know?
Yeah, she can tell he's really upset.
Find him a way to erase those fucking brands or something. Like.
Get him some emerald brooms, Syl. He can buy his way out of the slavery.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a definite assistance for sure.
If she can't carry it, she can just roll it along the ground. Also, what do you think happened in Amaran's army, considering Kaladin says in his thoughts here that he was betrayed?
So he got betrayed. So
I think he got betrayed.
yeah,
Great, thank you. Very insightful.
Oh man, you know, what do you think happened to his army? They probably all died because the person who betrayed them probably betrayed the entire army.
So Syl then tells Kaladin that he helped the young men in the army, even if they did die eventually. She says that he could help the bridgemen too. Kaladin says he'll fail, but she asks what the harm is in one more try, especially since he can't fail since these bridgemen are bound to die anyways. Syl pleads for him to give it one more try as Kaladin thinks of Tien's dead eyes staring upwards. Kaladin feels a small flame of determination within him, and he turns his head back to the barracks, away from the honor chasm. The blackbane leaf gets crumpled in his hand and falls to the ground. So what do you think about Syl convincing Kaladin to try again at saving people?
Fucking Syl's just so cute.
He crumpled up her gift to him, though.
So
I would
cute.
have fed it to her.
Oh my god, I don't think she can
Wow.
die by it.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, I don't.
I don't even know if
would
she can
be affected.
eat.
She's a fucking wind
Well, she
sprite.
can touch stuff, so she can, do stuff, I guess.
She can touch things, but I don't know if she can, digest.
Darkness, are you saying what I think you're saying?
What?
What is he saying?
Okay, never mind then.
Okay.
You don't know that.
I had an inkling, but I didn't want to go that way, so...
Okay, well then, you knew what I was talking about then.
I do.
So he sees Gaz
Wait.
it.
Oh god.
Is this how does this work? Do they get a physical form, or is this just her when using
So
her using,
he
one
mentions
period,
when she first pokes at him on the slave wagon that there are certain spren that can be a bit more physical and they can do small things like pinching someone or sticking things together. So
but do they remain that physical, or can they go into their non-physical?
No,
form?
she's made of light. I don't think she can she's not physical fully. I think she can I don't really know how it works. They don't it
Doesn't explain it in the book. Yes, I know.
Because I was thinking, what if she just uses her misty form to go into someone's lungs and just...
Every person with wind powers or gas power or whatever it is thinks of that exact thing. Do you realize how hard it would be to actually do what you were saying?
Just inhale air.
To go into another person's body who is just because they're inhaling air.
Well, I'm saying that would be hard if you
circulation
weren't the one going in. But considering that you're the creature made out of air, you can literally just go in there. It's your body,
and then get turned into carbon dioxide.
It'll be fine. Just turn solid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Kaladin sees Gaz tying a tarp.
Have you ever? Have you ever seen God damn it, what's it called? I gotta think of this because it's a really good fucking show. God damn it, The Boys or something like that.
I think I've heard that. I think that sounds familiar.
I have not seen it.
It's The Boys, I'm pretty sure, but
I'm pretty sure that's the name of the show.
I thought it was a movie.
Is it a movie? I thought it was a show.
No, it's a show.
I think it's an Amazon Prime show.
The one I'm thinking of.
It is a show.
Yeah. Okay, so it's about superheroes and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have these powers, and it's it puts exactly what you're saying into that perspective, right? where the dude, I'm not going to explain exactly what happens because it's very fucking stupid and raunchy, but the dude is able to go, like, shrink himself, and he ends up shrinking himself and going inside somebody's body, and then ends up expanding.
I've seen that scene.
Yeah, and it ends up expanding and killing the dude because of that. Okay, that's what you're thinking of. But the logistics behind turning into mist and then floating into a person's body, believe me, I thought about it because it's a D&D thought. Okay, the thought of doing that is so logistically flawed because your body, like, changes gas inside of it into other gases. You would end up being exchanged.
What if you just do it in their mouth?
Yeah, if you don't go into the lungs, it's probably fine because that's where the change happens.
Like, I mean,
they could just choke on Syl, you know.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, but I mean, it'd be very hard to do what you're saying.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
What if you go to the other hole?
Oh God!
No!
He sees Gaz tying a tarp and goes up to him as Gaz asks if he was even too cowardly to go through with the honor chasm. Kaladin grabs Gaz by the neck and slams him to the ground, telling him that things are going to change. Kaladin says that they are going to start over, but that Gaz needs to understand that he's already dead, so Gaz can't hurt him. Kaladin tells him that he's going to be the bridge leader now since their last one just died. Gaz nods, so Kaladin lets him stand up. Kaladin says he's going to stop paying off his debt and asks how much he makes, which is apparently 1 clear mark. He says that Gaz gets to keep 1 of 5 of them to stay out of his way. He thinks that the bribe isn't much, but for someone willing to come out so soon after a high storm to get their infused spears, it probably would be enough. So what do you think about Kaladin suddenly threatening Gaz into becoming bridge leader and bribing him to not get in his way?
Pretty fucking ballsy. I like it.
He bribed him?
Yeah.
He did bribe him. Yeah. He offered him 1 piece every 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
It works out. I'm surprised the dude didn't just, like, get pissy about it and start fighting back with.
So Kaladin then goes inside the barrack and glances around at the bridgemen, noting how pathetic they all are, but that he was the same until moments ago. He goes over to one of the bridgemen and pesters him until he gets his name, Teft. Kaladin introduces himself as the bridge leader and tells Teft, and Teft shakes his hand, although he seems confused. Kaladin notes that Teft had been in the bridge crew for a while, and that he had been transferred from another bridge crew for an infraction. He tells Teft tomorrow will be hard since every day is hard for bridgemen. Teft just replies that Kellic knows that's the truth. Kaladin then goes to each and every man and pesters them for their name, to which they seem annoyed to give, but also surprised that someone was asking. Kaladin remembers the name of each man, sitting down by himself and whispering them to himself as Syl sits on his shoulder. She seems happy, but he is just tired, although he clings to the responsibility that he had given himself. He would find a way to protect these men. So what do you think about Kaladin going around learning the name of all these bridgemen?
It shows leadership, for sure.
He's got to put a name to the future corpses.
Yeah, proper leadership, yeah.
Also, do you think Teft is going to become someone important since his name is the only one we are given, or do you think he's going to be the next to die because we were given his name?
Oh yeah, for sure, next to die.
Darkness is the pessimist, so.
What do you think, Mythic?
I think they're all going to live now because they're under Kaladin's rule. Kaladin's going to go out there. Kaladin's going to go out there and he's going to be like, all right, guys, we're going to do this my way, and I'm going to keep you all alive. And he's going to mitigate the amount of deaths.
The God King, the Lord God, the Lord Ruler, the new...
Kaladin, the Lord Ruler? Yeah.
Alright.
He's just getting all the titles of the previous rulers that we've seen.
So we then go to Interlude 1, Ishik. So Ishik is a man that lives on the Pure Lake. He's going off to meet with some foreigners. He has a pole resting on his shoulder with buckets on each end, and wore lake sandals and knee-length breeches. He doesn't wear a shirt because Pure Lakers don't cover their shoulders when the sun was out, and she could get sick without enough sunlight. He whistles as he thinks that New Relic had provided a terrible day, since he had only caught 5 fish, with 4 of them being the dullest and most common variety. The tides of the Pure Lake had also been irregular. Ishik then takes in the Pure Lake, which stretches for hundreds of miles and has a perfectly transparent surface. At most, it was only 6 feet deep, but most of the lake only went up to Ishik's mid-calf. The lake was filled with fish, crumlings, and river spren. The water was warm around his legs, and he barely made splashes as he moved, as he knew how to move carefully through the water so as not to hurt himself on stepping on something. Ishik approaches the village of Fu Abra, which sits on the water, held up by submerged blocks. He notes that other people are wandering through the waters around the village, and thinks that no one ever moves quickly through the water except for foreigners. So what did you think of our little view into how the Pure Lake people live?
All I could think about was that one town in Pokemon 3rd Gen. One that floats on water.
Which one you're talking about?
There's like a village that on the ocean in the third generation of Pokemon. It has like a bunch of like wooden bridges connecting all the little buildings together.
Pacific Log. There you go. That's it. They mentioned the like dangers of moving fast in the water, right? Like what exactly happens?
He says not necessarily that like it's super dangerous. He's careful so as not to step on anything sharp, but also that like they're just not in a hurry here. Like they're really chill people. You don't hurry around unless you're a foreigner.
Because what we learned happens in the water is kind of scary. Hello?
Is there something scary? I mean, there's like sharp things
Well,
if you step on like little creatures, but
isn't there like a mention of like? Hold on. No, it is like what you're related to what you just said, but
yeah, he said to
make sure it made it sound like it was like spikes.
Yeah, he said. Well, it's a creature called a spike mane or a sharp lip of a rock. It's probably like a spiky like sea urchin type creature is what I was imagining.
I was expecting like at least a foot spike.
No, because like the water's not like super deep. Like I think it's just like a little spiky creature that he's talking about.
Do they not use shoes?
Do they not use? He says he has lake sandals on.
So why not shoes? Solve your problems.
Got sandals.
That's a necessary difficulty.
Anyway, so Ishik then greets a man named Thaspik, who has a raft with clothing that he is towing along behind him. Ishik mentions that fishing has been terrible, and that Vun Makak had blighted him today. And Thaspik mentions that he lost a
Vun Makak?
Vun Makak.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
It's just a random, like, god name of their, like, little religion.
I don't remember.
I got so pissed off reading that.
I thought we weren't supposed to.
That's not the god. That's not the god that they don't say.
Oh, okay.
There's a specific different one which he doesn't talk about, but that's not that one. Yeah.
But they'll get jealous.
But yeah, Thazik mentions that he lost a shirt while doing his washing today. He also tells Ishik that the foreigners are at Mabe's place. Ishik continues on towards Mabe's place, which is a building in the center of the village. He also notes that he doesn't understand wanting to be inside, as he often just sleeps out on his raft since it never gets cold except during high storms. He also thinks about how high storms aren't as violent here as they are in the east, so just using your raft against the force of the storm is enough to keep yourself safe. He then gets to Mabe's place and steps inside, knowing that like all buildings, there was a small amount of water covering the floor since Pure Lakers liked it that way. However, sometimes if the tides were low, the buildings would drain. So what do you think about the fact that the high storms kind of lose intensity as they come across the continent?
It's like any other storm. Once it's landlocked long enough.
Yeah, so kind of sucks to live in the east like the Alethi do, where you get boulders thrown at you.
I mean, unless somehow you're using those boulders. Don't know how, but you know.
Not just a rock. It's a boulder.
The boulder.
Avatar
like little girls.
So Mabe nods at him as he comes in, and he thinks that she's been trying to get him to wed her for years, and that one day he might just let her. He notices that the foreigners are at a table specifically for foreigners, as it has a footrest out of the water. Mabe then asks if he had good fishing, and he replies that it was terrible. So Mabe offers him his fish soup for free. He accepts it, and she smiles, and he thinks that with enough free bowls, he'd owe her enough to wed her. However, he offers her a fish called a coal grill, which helps with aches and pains, and would thus put her in his debt instead. She asks how she's ever going to catch him, and he just replies that it's hard to catch a fisher. What do you think of the little relationship between Ishik and Mabe?
Sorry, I thought it was low-key kind of cute, but also like
catch a fisher.
I'm not gonna get attached even if they're side characters, cause fuck you.
Oh my god.
The name Mabe reminded me of
PTSD.
The name Mabe reminded me of Mab from.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
The same one. Creepy. It's the same one.
It's actually Mab again.
So?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we get a mention of fucking Hoyd, so why can't we bring back anybody else?
Yeah, here's what happened. She accidentally fell into whatever it is that well from that world or whatever, right? And then she went into like, what's it called?
Into the cognitive realm?
No, well, yes, but like, you know, maybe? You know, to the Travel Worlds or whatever it's called?
Yeah, through the perpendicularity.
There you go. And then she went into, like, not only this world, she went into Atlantis. And then she went through that pool, and then she went through that one, and then, you know, she's like...
She's just following behind Hoyd. She's following behind Hoyd.
She's a secret agent who cooks.
Secret Agent
Warbreaker
Cook.
is before Stormlight in the timeline, so.
Yeah. So she could have been here, for sure.
So Ishik then goes over to the foreigners, two of which were dark-skinned. One of the dark-skinned men was bald, and the other had short hair and lean muscles. He notes that they both seem strange because he thinks they're Makabaki, but they don't seem right to be Makabaki at the same time. He calls them Grump and Blunt because of their personalities. The other man,
I love his like reasoning behind giving them nicknames.
he's like, I don't think they're giving me the real names, so I'm just gonna give them fake names as well.
Wow.
The other man was a light tan like the Alethi, but his eyes weren't right for an Alethi, and he often didn't speak as he was bad at the language, so Ishik called him Thinker. Thinker also had a scar across his scalp. The foreigners are mad that Ishik is a bit late. Foreigners are mad that Ishik is a bit late, but Ishik thinks that he has the right day, and no one pays attention to the hour except for foreigners. Maeve brings over soup for the foreigners and gives Ishik a nice cloth napkin and some wine to try and balance out the debt owed by the fish he gave her. Ishik then tells the men that he's been to several villages over the last 5 months and has not heard anything about the man they are looking for. So, I'm kind of curious. So, specifically, especially in Stormlight, you really want to look out for people who they say don't quite fit what they're expecting of people. Because that's a hint that they are not from Roshar. They are from other worlds. These 3 foreigners are world hoppers.
What?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you guys did not catch on to that.
I got that, yeah.
You did? Okay, congrats!
I understood that. I understood that, but I don't think I understood that.
No, I meant what?
After...
Like, you cut off.
I cut off.
Basically, the 3 people that don't fit the mold of what the world is, like they say don't fit, are world hoppers. They're not of this world. The only time I started putting that together, though, was when they stated that they were looking for Hoyd.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, these are world hoppers, and you get little hints of other people. Every once in a while, through Stormlight, you'll hear them say like, "This person doesn't quite seem right." So just keep an eye out for those people.
Like Hoyd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hoyd is definitely not. But I mean, there's other people like these 3 foreigners. Yeah. So he also scolds the one man for using the name of his god because he had to pretend he wasn't their god.
Yeah.
Because
love that.
The younger spiteful brother,
yep.
of the god would get jealous. Ishik swears by the jealous younger brother instead that he hasn't heard of anyone seeing a man with white hair, arrow-like face, and a clever tongue.
Hey, Hoyd.
Grump says the man sometimes dyes his hair and wears disguises, but Ishik replies that he's tried all of the names they've given him as well. So they also know multiple names for Hoyd, it sounds like, because he's tried multiple names here. So Blunt, whom the others call Vow, says that they might be something to the fish, but Grump replies that it's just superstition. The light-skinned man is a man they call Tamu, but Vow stops the conversation to switch languages because Ishik is still with them. As they continue on, Ishik thinks that he can't settle down with Maeve, as it would mean that he can't travel as much for fishing. He also wonders why these foreigners are looking for this man named Hoyd. The foreigners then give him some more instructions and some spheres before leaving. So why do you think these men are looking for Hoyd? What do you think they're
tracking Hoyd through the fucking perpendicularities?
But like, what do you think their purpose is? Like, do they like
want stop him from whatever the heck he's doing? I'm sure
they're looking for a long lost lover of their like little quad group.
So as Ishik also leaves, he wonders if it would be good to let Maeve catch him as he is getting older. He also hears Grump speak in his own language again as he mentions that this might be a fool's quest. So, my question is, the mentions of the men, obviously being world hoppers, are specifically men that have been in previous Cosmere books. 2 of which you should know. One is from White Sand. You will not know him. That was the man that is named Vow, which their names are slightly off because Ishik hears them. So the names are similar, but they're not exactly right.
So what are the 3 names?
So they only give 2. They give Tamu and Vow. Vow is a man named Baon from White Sand, or Bowen from White Sand. They also, so Thinker is the one they call Tamu, and they don't give the name of Grump, but Grump is the one who speaks in the other language, and he keeps saying like "understand" at the end of each sentence. So
I'm gonna get it.
And Thinker is also the one with the scar on his head. And he's lighter skinned than the other 2.
I'm too dumb for this.
I'll give Darkness a little. Do you want to try Darkness, or should I just give it to you guys who they are?
Are we not going to get these people again?
You may or may not, but I just wanted to point out who they are. What do you think, Darkness? Do you have any guesses?
Do we have a description of them again? Like a physical appearance?
So Grump is a big, dark-skinned guy who's bald. He's the one who kind of says, like, understand at the end of each sentence, and he speaks... I can read out the little sentence he speaks. He speaks, in a different language at the end there. He says, Alavanta Kamalu Kayana at the end there. And then Temu is Thinker, who is lighter skinned and has a scar across his scalp.
No, I'm not gonna get this.
So
one second.
Okay. I'm gonna give you.
I'm thinking. Trying to think of who had a scar because I can't think of Grump, but
Grump. The biggest thing about him is his speech pattern. That's the biggest giveaway for who he is.
who got a speech pattern?
It's that last
Understand?
part with the understand part, right?
Understand? Wait.
I can read out one of his sentences if you want.
Yeah, real quick, please.
Yeah, he says, "The day is right, friend, but we were to meet at noon. Understand?"
Why does he sound? Wait,
Also, very well. Let us have your report, friend. He also says friend a lot, specifically.
is it Galadon?
It is Galadon! Galadon is Grump!
What the fuck?
That's
Why is
Galadon!
here? What
Hanging
the
out with a
fuck?
guy from White Sand and another guy with a
Okay,
scar
and
across
then-
his scalp.
Temu.
Temu.
Okay, is he from the same book?
They're all from different books. So there's White
Okay,
Sand,
so
Elantris, and then someone else
okay,
who's
so-
not from White Sand or Elantris.
So, what books have we read?
You've
Okay,
got,
Mistborn
otherwise, you've got Mistborn and
and
Warbreaker.
Warbreaker.
Those are your two other
Okay,
options.
and he has a scar across his head.
Yeah. So he's
Scalp.
slightly lighter skinned because those two guys are pretty dark skinned, but he's still tanned. He's not like completely white, and he's got a scar, and he's kind of quieter. Remember, the names are similar but slightly off. So his name's kind of similar to his real name.
I mean, what was Grump? We didn't get Grump's name, right? Like,
No, they didn't give you
the name
Grump,
that he-
but they gave you the White Sand name. They called him Vow or Vo, and his name is Baun. in White
Okay,
Sand.
and then and the other one they gave was Temu,
Temu.
which I don't think.
So like they kind of gave like the rightish vowels, but like the consonant was kind of off because it was a B instead of a V.
But okay, I'm trying to figure out whether who has a scar on their scalp, unless it would be.
So there's someone that we've met who got a very noticeable scar that was very much pointed out at one point that they received a scar across their head.
Okay, wait. So, I want to get this because I got Galadon without even realizing I was going to get Galadon, but
Yeah,
it
because
just sounded
Galadon,
like
with the understand, he says Kolo in Elantris. He's like, Kolo?
Yeah.
And we learn that it means understand. Also, when he speaks in the other language, we do learn in Elantris that Kayana means crazy. So he's like calling the guy crazy. And he says friend a lot. He always calls Spirit friend.
Okay,
Those
so
are
I don't feel like
Galadons.
I don't feel like anybody got a noticeable scar in Warbreaker that I can think of. So that would only leave Mistborn. Who got a notable scar in Mistborn? It can't be Says. He's a god.
This is definitely both after Warbreaker and after Mistborn, the third book. So it would have to be someone who's alive as well at the end of either of those
Yeah.
books, whichever series it's from.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get this. All right, whatever. I'm
It's
giving up.
Demo.
Demo?
Demo.
I have a feeling, but I couldn't remember his name.
They mention it at the start of the third book of Hero of Ages that Demo at one point gets bitten by a Koloss on the head, and he has a very noticeable scar across his head because of the Koloss bite. And
I don't remember that at all, honestly.
so that's the thing that happens. So they mentioned Demo's scar a few times in Hero of Ages, but yeah.
That was
so
when
it's-
that was when I said, "How the fuck did he survive a Koloss fight?"
Yeah. So it's Galadon and Demo and someone from White Sand hanging out together, searching for Hoyd for some reason.
They'd be searching for fucking Holy. Like, why are those people
Yeah,
specifically
it's a really weird group of people.
searching for fucking Hoyd?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it would make sense if like someone sent by each person not ruling, but an important like.
So
Centerpiece of the
Galadon is an Elantrian, so he's an Elantrian. Demo is a Atium misting, and then we just assume Baun probably has some sort of he's probably like a Sandmaster or something.
Yeah, something.
So like they're all like kind of like invested beings.
All right, well, I got Galadon.
Not only that,
so
but I'm
happy.
assuming they're close to like you know what I mean, like the main characters.
Yeah, they are all kind of close to the main. I think Baun is like a fairly big side character in White Sand.
Galadon wasn't fucking.
Galadon was like Spirit's best friend.
Right.
Galadon wasn't important.
Yeah, so for some reason there's this group together searching for Hoyd
Very interesting.
on Roshar.
A group that connects literally 3 worlds.
hmm So they're for some reason all working together.
We just
That's
hear
fine.
like we completely dismiss the talking sword next to them.
Yeah, Ishik just doesn't notice it because he's pure of heart, so he's not like tempted to take the sword. But yeah, so that's our Ishik chapter.
Wait, did we get an explanation what pure of heart means for them?
In Warbreaker, so basically it was people who like aren't kind of like corrupt bad people was kind of.
That's it.
Yeah, because the whole point of Nightblood is like he's supposed to destroy evil, so like evil people are like drawn to him. So like a lot of the people that you see like are criminals, are like corrupt government officials, people who like gamble and like do all sorts like that sort of things. And like Vivenna is not drawn to him because she's not like she's kind of like a bit
She
like
was
stuck in
evil.
her own head, but she's not like
She was evil. I don't know what you're talking about.
What was the god of that world?
the shard. It was endowment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were very endowed.
I mean, I'm sure
Especially-
the returned are quite endowed.
Well endowed. I'm sure.
Oh my.
Anyways, Interlude 2, Non-Blot. So we switch to the point of view of Shalon's brother, Non-Blot, who likes killing things, is how they introduce him. He doesn't like killing people, but instead he likes killing small animals.
It's a gateway to murder.
Yup. It makes him feel better.
Gateway to psychopathy.
He's currently pulling the legs off of a small crab as the crab squirms in his hand. And pulling off the legs soothes him as he throws them over his shoulder before reaching to pull off another. He doesn't tell people of this habit, though. Not even Aelita, who we don't get told who that is. So yeah, what was your first impression of Nambalot and his habit there?
Is that not normal?
Psycho? Psycho as fuck.
So yeah, Shalon's brother's a bit
Darkness, how many crabs have you dismembered?
That's not normal, right?
How many crabs have you dismembered, Darkness?
I wouldn't say crabs.
So how many small animals have you dismembered, Darkness? Please, with great detail, as I write this down to call the local authorities in your area.
Call the California police.
Oh no, I can't call that. Never mind. They won't do anything.
They really won't. They'll get here in like 25 business years.
Business years. I think there's a psycho in your state. Well, can you narrow it down for us? Can you narrow it down for us? Nope, I sure can't.
We'll solve the case in like 30 years.
Think about it. Just think about it.
I can narrow it down. I know he's 15 minutes away from a certain place. He told me.
I
can give you a 15-minute radius.
15 minutes. So here's a circle.
Right, Darkness? It's just quiet now.
No.
He regrets it.
I could get the information. I just choose not to.
So Nambalot gets up and leans on his cane, glancing over at the gardens of House Devar that only Shalon ever seemed to appreciate. He notes that there are vines growing over everything, as vines here are as common as grass in other parts of Roshar. As he walks, he hears songlings singing and scraping against their shells. He notes that after 6 months they had received word from his younger sister Shalon that she had succeeded in the first part of her plan and become Yasna's ward. As he walks down the steps, he notes how depressing it is that he's only 23 and already a cripple. Apparently the surgeon who had worked on his leg had almost amputated it because of how bad the break had been. He then calls out to his axhound Scrack, who is gnawing at an object while rolling around in some ornamental grass. Blot had been breeding the axhounds since youth, and he noted that the smarter one was, the more likely they were to disobey you. So what do you think might have happened to Nambalot to cause him to become a cripple?
It's the dude, right? Like the dude we're watching dismember stuff.
Yeah, this is the dude that dismembers things.
Okay, he dismembered himself.
You think he broke his own leg?
I wouldn't put it past him, Loki.
I mean, what do you think, Mythic? Do you have any thoughts about his cripple status?
I mean, I think this man just, he's a psycho, so as far as it gets for me. And psychotic. Honestly, I kind of hope he stays crippled for the rest of his life.
He probably tried killing his own leg off.
Yep. I hope he stays crippled for the rest of his life.
So Nambalot gets closer to Scrack and sees that it has a songling that it's playing with. He almost takes it away so he can pull the arms off himself, but allows Scrack to have her fun. He gives her a scratch behind her ear hole when she drops the songling for a moment before she goes back to attacking it. Blot sits down on a bench and picks up a small crab. He asks his axhound if he's a coward, although he tries to make excuses that only a woman could get close enough to Yasna to steal the soulcaster, and someone had to stay at the house to look after it. He pulls off the legs of the small crab, but is dissatisfied as they come off too easily. Blot then thinks that his father's temper had broken their family, with Asha Jushu having
pull Midnight's limbs off and see if they come off, easily.
Their one brother.
They actually do come off really easily.
Wow. So their one
I'm
brother.
just saying because if you're gonna cook like live crab, you'll find out.
Oh, that's how. Okay, I said dark. Okay, I said midnights. Okay.
Their one brother, Ashajushu, had been driven to vice, and Tet Wilkham had been driven to despair. Only he and
Wait,
Shalon had really been unscathed. He'd
what if I
almost
just
hate.
tore the limbs off your cat?
Oh my
Oh,
god, no. He almost hated Shalon for how left alone she had been by their father, but thinks he can't hate someone like her. He worries that Shalon is scared of being off alone. He also thinks about how their eldest brother, Helleran, was dead just like their father. One of his brothers,
Great name, by the
Wickham.
way. Great name, by the way. Helleran.
Yeah, Wickham then calls out to him and sees, and seems.
Mm.
Oh, and he seems past his recent bout of depression. Wickham calls out again and says that they have a big problem. So, whatever this problem is, do you think it's going to affect Shalon and her plans with Yasna?
yes,
Yes.
100%. It's a big problem,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way to solve it is murder.
I mean, he's apparently really good at it. So
He's gonna
it's just
actually
more
torture
him.
animals.
You know, I was so terrified at the moment when he said it's so dissatisfying, and then he's like petting that fucking thing.
The axe hound? Oh, do you want to see what an axe hound looks like?
Yes, I was thinking, oh no, not that, not that's next. It better be in the shape of an axe.
Well, the axe hound is because of like its head shape, they say.
That's Ew!
Ooh. Why is it?
Why is everything crab related? He's gonna pull the fucking legs off that shit. I'm telling you right now, he's pulling the legs off of that.
Wait, how big is this thing?
Apparently up to your waist. It's like medium to large dog
It's like
size.
a dog.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
like a dog size. It's their equivalent of dogs. It's crab dog.
Oh, that's weird. That's weird. That's very weird. I like it, but it's weird.
Ooh,
I want to
crabs
make a.
must be really
make
bad for
a-
them in this world.
I want to make a D&D creature now. That's really
I want
cool.
it to be humanoid.
I mean, it could probably stand on four legs.
Yeah, it's got 6 legs, so.
Yeah. It could stand on
He only
four.
needs 4, so 2 can
Oh,
come right
gosh.
off.
Pop, pop.
I'm
You
surprised
pop
he's
the two
able
middle
to
ones
breed
out.
these axe hounds without like torturing them. Apparently they're too big for him to want to torture.
For right now.
Yeah, right. He'll upgrade to it
Mhm.
eventually.
Alright, and then
Okay.
we get our final interlude called The Glory
Which
of
is the
Ignorance.
best interlude. The only good part of this entire chapter.
You didn't like the little cameo for the other worlders?
Yeah, I
Void?
mean, but like I said, I didn't realize it until after they said something about Hoyd, and then after that, I was like, okay, cool. I didn't realize who they were either, so I just assumed they were some random off, whatever, like people I wouldn't.
They are
know
random.
anything. They're not random, apparently.
So we go to the point of view of Zeth Sunzun Villano, Truthless of Shinovar. So you have to use his full title, obviously, every time.
Best.
He's sitting on the floor of a tavern in frayed clothing, knowing that it had been years since he had used his shard blade. His current master, named Took, is telling a miner that Seth will do anything he's told. The man calls Zeth Kerp, which means child, due to the fact that people generally say that the Shin people look like children because of their shorter stature and wider eyes. Seth, however, is already 35 years old. Took his Seth jump around and almost has him pour the miner's beer on his head, but the guy pulls his beer out of Seth's reach. Took then has Zeth cut his arm, which causes one of the men named Amark to try to get him to stop. And then he asks Seth to cut his throat, but Zeth replies that he cannot take his own life. So were you expecting to see Zeth in this sort of situation 5 years after being with the Parshendi?
I didn't expect to get another cameo from him, so.
I expected him to have another assassination.
I mean, he kind of did his lack of doing anything, so.
So Tan is shocked at how Zeth speaks like a Light Eyes, and Took says he's basically as good as a Parshman, but smarter. Took then tells the miners that Zeth could do all sorts of jobs that they don't want, and then goes into a false story about how he got Zeth. Apparently he actually got Zeth from a farmer for a sack of seeds, and Zeth had dozens of masters before that farmer. Zeth thinks that many find him a novelty to own at first, but eventually they grow uncomfortable having a slave that talks like a Light Eyes and is smarter than them. So do you think Zeth used to be a noble before he became truthless, due to how he talks?
Yes, it would make sense.
It 100% would.
So Zeth wonders what people would think if they found out that their slave was a Shardbearer and a Windrunner, which is a type of radiant from ancient days. When he took out his blade, his eyes would turn from green to pale sapphire and glow. However, Seth was happy with each day his abilities were wasted, and he wasn't made to kill. So what do you think about this? So we get a name of one of the 10 kind of divisions of the Radiants, which is Windrunner. So that's apparently specifically what he claims to be.
He runs on wind.
And we know that he like runs on like the ceiling and stuff.
He runs on wind.
So Chuck finishes his story, and Zeth says that the story is true, as he'd been ordered to say earlier.
I kind of want to know what the other one was called now. What was the other guy's title? The other shard, whatever, bear person.
Well, so no, Zeth is saying that he because remember Zeth can do special things.
Yeah, but
the other guy can do special things.
Who can just have, there's people that can just have a sword without.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically, they've said previously that like no, there haven't been radiants for like forever, and like Seth says in his like prologue thing that like people would be shocked if like they heard of like what he could do, and like they don't recognize what he can do because it's been so long since anyone else was able to do what he could do. So he as far as he's aware, he's like the only person who can do this.
Oh no, there's 9 others. So.
So Chuck then goes to leave, pretending to be a seasoned traveler, even though he often just goes around Babylon to the different tiny mining villages to tell exaggerated stories. However, the men insist that he stays and offer him drinks. As Zeth sits back down on the floor, he thinks about how the Parshendi had thrown his Oathstone away, the night of the assassination, and that he recovered it and stood by the road, hoping that he'd be discovered and executed. However, instead he'd been discovered by a merchant. So what do you think about the fact that the Parshendi just like threw away his Oathstone and he was just left like standing by the side of the road, waiting for someone to like come get him?
Love it. I just absolutely love it, because especially when, like I said, like later, when the fucking guys come by and kill this dude, and then he's like, "You're holding my Oathstone. You're my master," and I'm like, "Bro, just give me your Oathstone, please."
I just imagine a really sad-looking Zeth standing by the side of a road while it's raining, holding his little stone cupped in his hands.
I want to get a picture of that, honestly.
I don't know if there's a picture of that. That's just what I was
probably
picturing
not.
in my mind.
I'm just saying that. I kind of wish there was a picture of that.
I know. I just imagine like if I was an artist, I would draw that. Just like sad little Zeth out in the road in the rain.
You are an artist. Everybody's an artist. You're just not a good one.
I wish I could. I was a good enough artist to properly depict what I'm seeing.
There you go. You can get one on Fiverr.
That's where I get all my emotes from.
I know. What I said, you can go get them from Fiverr.
But yeah, so eventually the miners leave, and Seth thinks that about one of Took's stories about getting a black sphere from the Night Watcher, which makes Seth think about the dark sphere that the king had given to him the night he killed him. He had hidden it in Yakaved so that none of his masters would get it, even though he doesn't really know what it was. So why do you think Zeth felt the need to like hide this thing, even though he has no idea what it is?
Probably because he can tell it's important.
You're telling me that you wouldn't. Your first instinct is not to like hide.
I don't. Just he doesn't usually seem to keep possessions. I didn't think he'd like. Considering his position, I wasn't sure he'd care about anything.
If he's holding his own Oathstone, does that make him his own master?
I don't think that's how it works. I think he just has to, it's based on the fact that he just stood waiting for someone to come by when the Parshendi threw it away. I think he just has to stand there until someone decides to take him.
To take him.
Interesting.
So Took eventually stumbles out of the tavern and begins to head to the poor end of town where he had paid for a place to sleep. As they're going down an alleyway, Took is killed by some men with a knife in the neck. One of the men goes to kill Zeth, but another one of the men stops him as they say that Shin are harmless like Parshmen. As they loot Took's body, they find Zeth's Oathstone, and he speaks out, saying he's required to tell them that anyone who holds his Oathstone is his master. Man asks what that means exactly, and Zeth replies that he is required to do anything his master says, except for kill himself. He also thinks that
except for giving his weapon.
Yeah, he also thinks that he can't be forced to give up his Shardblade, but thinks that they don't need to know about that right now. What do you think about Zeth's new criminal masters?
They're gonna treat him so well. I can already tell.
What do you think, Darkness?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember their personalities.
Criminal scumbags.
Right, I remember. Oh, I mean, that can be very bad considering that one of their first thoughts was to sell him. But if they find, like, if they like actually see his potential, you know, like, oh no.
And I don't think that keeps giving him up. So.
Yeah, I wonder if he would be a good thief. Like, imagine having someone of his skills in modern day and be like, "Hey, go rob a bank."
Someone of his like commitment too. Master tells him to do something, he's gonna go do it.
He has to. They have a stone.
So that was our final chapter.
You gave Dobby a sock.
No.
Overview questions. First of all, we'll go with Seth. So yeah, what do you think is going to happen in Zeth's future now that he's owned by criminals? Like, do you think they're going to keep him? Do you think he's going to have to start killing again? Because he really didn't want to be killing again. Where do you think his story's going?
He's going to kill again.
Oh, of course.
And again. and probably again, and then he's gonna start crying every time he kills.
I'm just waiting for him to become his own master.
The master of masters.
Do you think he'll ever not be truthless? Like he'll like break free of this truthless thing that he's in, or do you think he's
No,
gonna be
that's a
stuck
forever
like that?
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm kind of
He's
hoping he
fucked
does.
until he dies. Just like, what's his name?
Wait, what if when he dies he like transcends?
Now I wanna call I forgot his name, but I wanna call him Galadin now for some reason.
Hold on.
And it's not supposed to be that way.
Gavilar, the king, the previous king.
No, the dude, the slave dude.
Oh, Zeth. Oh, Kaladin. Kaladin.
Yes, they sound so similar, and that's just confusing. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that.
I
But
don't know where you're going. Also, so question about Kaladin stuff. What do you think happened with Kaladin to cause him to either not go to Kharbranth to become a surgeon, or to stop his training part way so that he could become a soldier? Because we know that like he obviously didn't go through with the whole like plan of you're gonna go to Kharbranth, you're gonna become a surgeon, it's gonna be great. He obviously becomes a soldier at some point. So what do you
the
think
death
happened?
of his brother.
So you think that his brother? You think his brother's death caused him to like be like, no, I'm gonna go be a soldier now instead.
Because this whole thing is, oh, I gotta save lives by taking them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if they took his brother's lives, if he took the person whose lives, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you think like someone came and like murdered his brother or something, and that's why he became a soldier?
Yeah.
What do you think, Mythic?
Be just as simple as he had a falling out with his father.
You think maybe he just like they got
Fuck
in a fight
you!
and he left?
Fuck you! I have daddy issues.
Also, so considering it's mentioned by both Shallan and her brother about their eldest brother Halloran disappearing, do you think he is dead, or is he going to show up at some point later? Because Shallan says he's disappeared. They don't have confirmation of his death, but her father had told them that her brother was dead, and like Non-Balat seems to believe their brother's dead. Do you think
Isn't her father dead?
Her father is dead, but she said like in the past, like when her brother had disappeared, he had said like, oh yeah, Halloran's dead, but like they never got confirmation really.
Do we know how he died?
No, we don't get told it by her. She just says that like her father had said that her brother was dead, and then Non-Balat mentions Halloran says like he's dead though, which is why Non-Balat is kind of like taking charge of the house.
No, Bruin took over.
Ruin's here now. Okay.
He's on vacation. No, I don't think he's dead.
I don't either. I think he's just missing.
He's gonna show up at some point and fuck everything up for Shallan,
Maybe.
or make things better.
Oh.
Either or.
Mm-mm.
All right.
He's gonna fuck it all up.
Did you guys have any other thoughts or theories for these chapters?
When does this book get better?
Oh wow.
So next episode we are reading chapters 12 to 15, which is the start of part 2 called The Illuminating Storms. And at the start of each part, we get told what character POVs we're gonna get, and so there's going to be POVs from Dalinar, the king's brother, in this next part, as well as obviously Kaladin and someone named Adolin. So yeah, look forward to that next time. We'll be doing 4 chapters.
Wait, we don't get Shlong anymore?
No, Shallan is not in this next part.
Damn, no Shlong. Darkness,
We want Shlong though.
Darkness, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, Shallan gets skipped for part 2. Instead we get Dalinar and Adolin. So yeah, look forward to that, and thank you guys all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.